Thank you, sir. Okay, next, let us all welcome Yang Berbahagia Professor Dr. Srikumar Chakravarthi, Director Postgraduate Research and Innovation, for his speech. Please welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Nur Rashida. Thank you, Dato Vice Chancellor and Dr. Iman. And once again, congratulations to Dr. Iman's team for organizing yet another wonderful conference, fully done online, to ensure that you are actually sustaining the environment and not having too many people together at a time when the world is in red alert. Okay, as much as I talk about red alert, let me change the color to something else, green. So at this point, our theme of the conference is green technology. So moving on from red alert, which is COVID, we move on to green technology, which is what is the theme? Sustainable environment. Okay, but I'm not here to talk about your sustainable environment or green technology. I am here today just to help you guys start off the day on a good note by closing your eyes and imagining something. When I say close your eyes, let's all close our eyes now. Usually we close our eyes for prayers, but then we don't need to pray because prayers are always, blessings are always there. The universe listens to us. But at this point, we are closing our eyes to imagine the last scene from a Hollywood movie called I Am Bolt. This movie came in 2016. It is a biopic about Usain Bolt, the fastest runner in the world. So let's close our eyes and imagine the last scene, 2016 Olympics. The whole world is cheering, and Usain Bolt starts his run. And within 9.86 seconds, he finishes his first 100 meters run. And he wins gold for it. He won a lot of money for it as well. Money is a different story. We'll talk about it later. So he won a gold medal for just 10 minutes, 10 seconds of intense running. After the race, his interview in the same movie, he said that I ran till the extent that I wanted to die. I fell almost dying. His role is to expend all his energy within that 9 seconds. So what did he do after that? The next few days, few weeks, he was sitting, he was eating, watching TV, relaxing, went to the MAHSA, went to physiotherapy, and he sort of cooled down because he expended all his energy in just 9 seconds. Now, on the other hand, let me introduce you to Kipchoge, who is a marathon runner and is the 2020 and 2016 Olympic marathon champion. Now, his story is different. When he starts running, he runs 42 kilometers. He doesn't run with the intention of expending my full energy. When he starts running, he realizes that I need to run 42 kilometers. I need to conserve as much energy as possible to sustain myself for 42 kilometers. Now, how do marathon runners run is an interesting a story by itself. There's a separate book on how to run your marathon. But one thing I can tell you that marathon runners, when they run 42 kilometers, at the end of every kilometer, they tell themselves, one more kilometer to go, one more to go, one more to go. And that's how they sustain themselves for 42 kilometers. But if they were to run like, let me expand my full energy, they can't even finish 1 kilometer. So the main game of running a long race in life is to conserve your energy and make it more sustainable and push it further and further. So the difference between Usain Bolt and Kipchoge is that Kipchoge is a person who has the same energy as Bolt, but he releases the energy in spurts. He doesn't give away the whole energy. A child who gets a box of chocolates from the mother does not like to finish it to the whole box the same day. The child likes to take one by one each chocolate a day because the child wants it to be a sustainable pleasure or a treat, so it lasts for a longer time. That is how the human mind is. Okay, so now you can open your eyes. I'm done with the imagination. Moving on to a little bit on history. A lot of Hollywood movies have been taken in many historical places and portraying historical characters. Egypt, Cleopatra. Pompeii, the city of Pompeii that was buried by the volcano, Mount Vesuvius. Varanasi, the age old historical city in India, which is said to be gifted by the gods. Jericho, another historical city from in the West Nile between Israel and Palestine. Now, these all existed between 10,000 to 3000 BC. Now, this is not a history class here today, but the reason I quote these places is at that point in time, these were the highest populated places in the world. Around 8000 BC, the Indus Valley civilization had a population of 10 million. And at that time, how did these cities flourish? These cities had a perfect ecosystem. They had wind energy, they used wind energy for all their activities, solar energy. Now, we use solar energy here. We have solar panels in the roads as we drive in the highways. But in those days, we didn't have solar panels. Sun came in directly. Sun is free. Sun is a gift of the universe. And we used it at that point. Now, if you read history books, you will realize that in Jericho and in Egypt and in Indus Valley civilization, they followed something called crop rotation. If you have 4 areas of crop, you grow rice, wheat, maize, and something else. And in the next season, you grow wheat, maize, rice, and something else. You keep rotating. It helps in diversity. And for these fields, they had water bodies which brought in water like channels, no pumps at that time, and a lot of green spaces. So these aspects made all these cities survive for 12, 14,000 years ago when we did not have electricity, we did not have water pumps, we did not have the facilities of today. Why? Ask yourself why. I'm sure you've all gone for holidays to Cameron Highlands or Genting Highlands, and on the way to Cameron Highlands, you would see many plants growing in glass houses. These are called terrarium, where you have a glass house in which plants grow. Now, what is this concept based on? Well, actually, the earth itself is a terrarium. It is a closed system where it is a closed system like a glass box where automatically everything cycles, nitrogen cycles, water cycles, the water evaporates, it comes down as rain, carbon dioxide cycles. The sun pays the bills. The sun pays the electricity bills. You don't need electricity. The sun gives you free energy. And sustainability occurs, which means you're maintaining the balance. So, for this terrarium or the earth to flourish for so many billion years, it requires just the sun and just the natural resources. It doesn't require you or me. You or me are doing the opposite. We are destroying the earth. So, how has the earth been so successful all this time, and why are we now talking about sustainability, and why are we now having a conference? Because while all these billion years the earth has been having a wonderful life, at this point we are in a situation where we are told in the news that in another 50 years petrol is going to finish, because petrol is a fossil fuel. Fossil fuel is limited. It grew, fossil fuel developed under the earth for a few thousand years, a few million years, and now we are using it all up. So in another 50 years we won't have petrol. But wait a minute, 50 years is a long time. I wouldn't live another 50 years. So let me enjoy as much petrol as I want. Anyway, it's not going to be there after 50 years. Well, that is what man is. We are bothered only about ourselves. We are bothered about the present. We are not bothered about the future. We are running a 100 meters race and not a 42-kilometer marathon. That is the inbuilt thought in mankind, that live for the present, don't live for the future. Unfortunately, that is what is happening because we tend to be a bit selfish. Well, rather than selfish, let me use the word self significance syndrome. Now, this is a term which was self significance syndrome, is a term coined by this philosopher. His name is Sadhguru. He says humans suffer from self significance syndrome, which means we give importance only to ourselves as much as the university is selfless. So much so that we give importance, when I say ourselves, only those who are close to us. So those of you parents who are out here, you would tell your children that I want you to score more marks than the others in your class. But what about others in the class? They are also children of other parents. Rather than thinking that I want you all to do well, that is because we are connected to just that child. We are connected. That is ourselves. We are connected to ourselves. When you watch a Hollywood movie, you would find a hero, an action movie, Arnold Schwarzenegger or Sylvester Stallone, you would see that the hero shoots bang, 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 bang. He shoots thousands of bad people or terrorists. Thousands of them go falling all around. But at the closing scene of the movie, one bullet hits the hero on the side of the shoulder. You feel really sad. You're really worried whether is he going to live or survive. And he goes hobbling through a waterfall. You're worried whether he's dying or not. Why is it that you're not worried about the thousand other enemies he killed and you're worried only about this one hero who got a bullet wound? That is because you are mentally connecting to that person. That is the selfishness of the human mind. We believe in just loving the people with whom we connect. So we believe in living life for the moment. We don't want to be sustainable. If we are sustainable, we wouldn't even be making movies where thousands of people are being killed and one person is victorious. If the villain is victorious, you get angry because you are already connected with the hero. So, as much as we are selfish, the universe is selfless. That is why the universe has been living for 14 million years. The Big Bang, I'm sure you all know what is the Big Bang. I'm not referring to the Big Bang Theory on Netflix. It is a sitcom, a comedy sitcom, which everybody watches in the present generation. I refer to the actual Big Bang hypothesis. This Big Bang hypothesis is about the creation, and all of what has come into existence now is so started roughly about 14 billion years ago. And at that time, matter was just a very small ball with an with an the density was infinite. It was so dense you can't explain infinite, and this exploded and expanded. And as it expanded, it's still expanding. It expanded within a few seconds, but it's still expanding for 14 million years ago. So, as much as the universe is expanding and the universe is becoming more sustainable by expanding. So, the farther we move away from each other, the more sustainable we are. But the closer we move to each other, the more we love each other and the less sustainable we are, and we live for the present. So, you guys tell me, is it good to stay at a distance or connect closer together to develop sustainability? Well, that's a bit more philosophical, but I think these are aspects that we actually have to discuss when it comes to being sustainable. So, philosophy and physics is very close to the expansion of the universe or the Big Bang theory. If you remember your physics, one of the theories that we memorized, we still remember that law of conservation of energy. Energy can neither be created nor destroyed in an isolated system. The earth is an isolated system. The universe is an isolated system. But man isn't isolated. Man cannot be isolated. I have to travel now from Saujana Putra to KL Central because they are closing the restaurant there and I need to have my last meal there. I don't care if I spend 3 liters of petrol or I spend the energy of an entire day traveling there because I am not an isolated system. I believe in freedom. I believe in living life for today. I'm not bothered about what happens after 40, 50 years. So, because of this, environmental sustainability is something that we need to think of. I am not touching the actual details of environmental sustainability because that is going to be spoken by the speakers today. What I'm telling you is a teaser trailer to make sure that you're going to sit for the entire day, hopefully glued to your computers or at least listening on Bluetooth. You have to conserve natural resources, protect our global ecosystem, not only for now, for the future. When I say future, doesn't mean our children, means for the next few generations. I mean, again, mankind is probably the greatest villain to ecosystem development because when we talk about future, we always think anybody in Asia would say, I am planning for my future. I want to build a house so that my child can enjoy. We think again only of the child. A very famous builder in a city who I know, and I know the city as well. I visited the city several times. Started a multi-million gated community project by uh, closing an empty lake, a dried up lake, and building a huge gated community over it. His intention was, anyway, the lake is dry, and let me build a huge condominium facility over it. And he built a huge condominium. Unfortunately, half the units in that condominium were not sold even for 5 minutes later because they could not source water for this. And there was a big uproar by the government as to how permits may be given for this. Now, why? The builder was thinking about the future, right? But unfortunately, he was thinking only about the near future, 20, 30 years ago, not about 20, 30 years down the lane, not about the distant future, like 100 or 200 years, where you are covering a lake bed, a river bed, and building a concrete structure over it. Well, that is so-called sense of sustainability so far, which I hope in this conference we are able to remove this sense and bring in the prevailing sense that sustainability is much more, because um, uh, uh, we have increased farming, and farming has led to greater greenhouse gas emissions and deforestation, and we need more power than ever because we have a lot of technology growth. We are emitting a lot of waste products, more than nature can process. Now, it doesn't matter to me, the waste products don't come to my house or to my building, but it lands in the sea, where we have millions of thousands of tons of plastic floating in the sea. A month ago, I had a patient. A mother came to me bringing her child and said that my son is very obese. Doctor, look, he's got layers of fat, and even his chest is a boy, in his pre-puberty. His chest is like the breasts of a woman hanging down, fat. I'm very careful about his diet. I make sure he eats good food. He doesn't even drink water outside. He always drinks only mineral water. But that is the culprit. When you drink mineral water, you drink mineral water from plastics. Every day drinking from plastics, you are taking BPO, which is a harmful chemical in plastics, which is one of the banned substances when it comes to environmental sustainability, which can cause gynecomastia, which can cause feminization in men, and it can cause breast cancer in women as well. So we think we are doing good by drinking water from mineral water bottles, but we are harming our own body. This is one of numerous examples where we think we are sustainable, but no, we aren't, because we aren't educated properly. We need conferences like what we're having today to educate us as well. Okay, so basically, I hope that the proceedings in the conference are very useful for all those participating. But the bottom line of the story is that we have nature to pay our bills. The most important energy source supplier for us is photosynthesis, and the richest source of energy is the sun. So we must make sure that we retain the productive capacity of the sun and photosynthesis, like how the Egyptians did, how the Indus Valley civilization did, and how all the other ancient civilizations did. Because at this point, we experience deforestation, soil erosion because of new buildings, and even growing crops is deforestation, depletion of fisheries, and loss of biodiversity. I was watching a TV show on Netflix where they said that to build up the tuna fishing industry, they were destroying dolphins. That again is a form of depletion of fisheries. So, to achieve what we want, we need to sacrifice a lot. There's a quote by, I have a lot of books with me. Yeah? There is a quote by this person, Jay Shetty. He's a very famous YouTuber and YouTube influencer, and he has said in this book, now, if you don't sacrifice for what you want, what you want becomes a sacrifice. So you have to sacrifice a lot for what you want in life later. Otherwise, whatever you are thinking of becomes a sacrifice. You have to forget about it. And I finish with this book, a quote from Robin Sharma, again a very great influencer. He says, your environment influences your mindset. Okay, and in terms of whatever environment you are in, that influences you. So you go for a more sustainable or a green environment, that influences you to be more sustainable in life. Now, with this preamble, I leave you to the actual discussion on how to make an environment I hope I have managed to keep you awake in the morning along with your regular cup of coffee, and wishing you all the best for a wonderful series and sequence of events for the rest of the day. Thank you very much once again for this opportunity to talk here today in this platform. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for that beautiful and inspirational speech. Something for us to ponder that. Thank you, sir, again. Okay, next we have our keynote session, and this keynote speech